Starting off with some of the free fighters in patch 1.4.1, we got Jack Johnson, we got Jack Dempsey, and there's some that were DLC, part of the Monster Mexican pack for $11. Got Andy Ruiz, got David Benavidez. I heard he's a little bit broken. Definitely not buying him. Hector Camacho, Fernando Vargas. But this is some pretty cool free content though. Besides the fighters I'm showing right now, they even got a 87 Sugar Ray Leonard and the addition of robes. So even like in the intros, the walkouts for marquee fighters only, like Canelo Alvarez, Terrence Crawford, Tyson Fury. You get the point. Basically, more of the bigger names will have the robes just to start off. So they're probably testing it, see how it works. And also, design takes time. Implementing something like that into the game is not easy. Yeah, I don't know what our opponent is doing right here. But they also have get in the ring faster with multi-queue. So now, pretty sure you guys can see when you're going to quick fight, you can queue up pretty much all the weight classes. They're all officially available now. There's no missing weight classes anymore. Also, you can just queue up for every weight class. Select the fighter that you want to use in each weight class and queue up for all of them at the same time to help with the queue times, which is a very smart move. They recently acquired a former EA vice president or someone that was in charge of Fight Night and the UFCs that made a lot of big decisions for those games. So it makes sense that they would implement something like this in the update. Improved lighting for PC Ultra settings and Xbox Series X. Not going to really read the AI stuff. For the most part, I know most people don't really care. Fixed a bug where Southpaw body jab will cause fighters to speed up. Fixed a bug where players would be waiting for a match in online fights for extended periods of time. Fixed a bug in online fights where landing power punches and follow-up with taking a knee results in desync. So it seems like they're figuring out some things that cause desync in matches. But my official opinion, I played about 15 matches. I watched my friend play. We live near each other. We're on the East Coast. We live pretty close, so our servers are relatively the same. So I wanted to make sure my friend got the same experience. But I'm landing a lot more punches I'm seeing, or at least I'm feeling in these fights. I definitely can land a lot more. I can combo fight a bit more safely. I can trust, my instincts. I'm a little bit rusty. I haven't played this game in probably about, maybe 2 months. Maybe since the last update, maybe. I tried it on and off, but, with hit detection being horrible, that's where I kind of drew the line that I couldn't play the game. Look at that nice counter shot right there. For the most part, I've been experiencing significantly better hit registration. Is it perfect? No. There's some times where I miss, but it's very rare now. I don't miss too often. I use guys like Sugar Ray Leonard, Terrence Bud Crawford. I like having a really nice jab, really good movement, and the ability to combo up a little bit. So, having both of these fighters as my mains fits my style very well. I'm getting the flow back, Look at that, nasty. Oof. Mixed them up right there. But stuff like that I wasn't able to trust. Look at that, nice two-piece to the body, come right back up. Perfect. Nice mix up right there, but yeah, definitely. It feels significantly better. Guess this guy likes to see the replay of him getting his mouthpiece knocked out. But yeah, it's feeling way better. I can counter people effectively. And just to show you guys I'm not lying, this is a 2-fight video. So, I usually, for the most part, post 1 fight in most of my Undisputed videos because, you're unable to land a lot of shots on people. So it's really hard to get them gone. Yeah, I think he gave up. So, it's unfortunate. Some people are not used to getting punished in certain ways, So that's definitely going to be a wake-up call for a lot of people that play this game. On to the next fight. This one's a bit of a brawl. And unfortunately, some of my mistakes were from this camera. I don't know why. I think I had like a zoomed in camera. I'm not sure if this was a new venue. I just never changed my camera. I wish there was just a default setting where it's zoomed out 100% of the time, so I don't have to do it every time they add a venue, especially for returning players. Sometimes we're not up to date on all the newest venues that's been dropped, but this is definitely a war, so definitely stay in for this fight. But in this one, I'm mainly testing. I think this one was my first fight on this patch, 1.4.1. And I noticed like my intercepting 1-2s were hitting a lot. And also, I'm hitting the block a lot more, which I'm very happy for because they made a change last patch where, when you land on the block, you lose less stamina. So as long as I'm hitting the block and landing my punches, to the body or to the head, I'm very happy and I could actually enjoy the game a lot more. Is it perfect by any means? No. This is not going to be one of those updates where it completely blows your mind as far as in gameplay changes. But it's enough for me to have fun at least like 70% of the time, because we do face people where, they're just trying to circle the ring the entire time, right? It's very annoying. It's pretty much a runner's paradise in this game where people put on loose footwork with any fighter and they're able to just circle out and just keep the fight very, very boring. That's coming from somebody who does like to fight on the outside. I like to fight on the outside. Even if you guys watch my UFC videos, I love to kickbox. I love using distance, but there's a difference between outside boxing or outside kickboxing and just running away and not engaging at all. There's a big difference between those two things. So I would like it so let's say if I back up somebody to a corner that's using loose movement, right? They will be forced to use either their smaller side steps or their major lunges to get out of there, or they're forced to exchange. They have those two choices, but both choices will definitely give me an opportunity to do something to someone who is running away. Whether it be he major lunges into a body hook or a power overhand, whatever the case may be, or he chooses to exchange, which is something I want because this person is running away. Not the person I'm fighting, but just, speaking in general for the most part. But it feels good that I could, semi-enjoy the game again. It shows that this game definitely has some potential still. I wish they did more gameplay changes here, maybe with stamina, loose footwork, make it so people can't just run away. Things like that would definitely help the pace of the game, because in ranked I've seen a lot of people, they'll use the body jab a whole bunch and just circle around the ring the entire time, the whole 8 rounds. If you enjoy playing like that, that's cool, but I just like pros and cons. I like every style to have a pro and a con. If you don't have that, you have something that's unbalanced and broken. When you have something that's pretty much you're forced to do the same thing as they're doing, that's imbalance right there. But yeah, Bud's definitely probably my go-to next to, Sugar Ray Leonard. Two of my favorite picks usually. I usually avoid middleweight because, most of the time, like I said, when hit detection was broken, I would just face Canelos that would just spam pivoting lead body hooks that would just melt through my block. And sometimes I wouldn't be able to counter them effectively because, my shots would whiff. But yeah, I think acquiring that EA dev definitely probably helped them fix things behind the scenes, because I feel like this hit detection definitely was addressed, but it just wasn't in the patch notes. And we've seen companies do this from time to time, like 2K Sports. They change up the shooting, how shooting works. Sometimes an 85 3-ball is money, and then you come on the game after an update or a random hotfix, and now you need like an 87 or an 89. They change things, how the game works. Shooting mechanics and which jump shots are better, they change things without telling people. EA, UFC 5, they do the same thing. They change up damage and stamina without telling us in the patch notes. So that's why I definitely believe that they addressed hit detection once again. they just didn't say it because they mentioned it a few times and they were unsuccessful at fully fixing it. So to avoid the backlash, which is smart, they might have just fixed it on the low, which I don't mind. I definitely notice. The people who matter are gonna notice, The people who've been here since day one and will support the game until its life cycle is over is gonna notice. Maybe the casual that pops on for a match or two might not notice, but the people who matter will notice for sure. So look at that, we got a nice knockdown right here. Look at that nice combo finish up top. Feels good to be back. I'm glad I was able to get some good, performances at least. I haven't played this game in months, so feels good to be back. Having another combat game as a combat gaming channel to actually enjoy and post is going to be fun. I'm going to continue testing. Hopefully I could feel the same way as the days goes on, but we'll see. I'll keep y'all updated for sure. I'm just getting used to the movement because I'm not used to the movements on Undisputed just yet, like the back lunge and the left stick. I gotta start using that more. That was broken and useless for so long that I just never learned it. So now I got some motivation to add that to my game, and we'll see. It's still too slow right now because if we use the left stick for our movement, like the slips and the ducks, like if someone's hook spamming, it'll definitely be easy. But if you're having somebody that's mixing it up, paying attention to your head movement, you're basically just in a guessing game. You would have to guess what they're going to throw. There's no reactionary head movement. I can't see a hook come out and just, pop back as the hook is loading up. I have to almost like predict or be pulling back already with like L2. But yeah, I definitely hate this camera. This camera was messing up my distance a little bit because sometimes it would feel like I'm not next to him and I would just get cracked. But yeah, it's not too bad. We will survive. But yeah, you see like I did that little minor lunge and I, circled out. Like I feel like people should be forced to do that if they're going to be on the outside. Trying to use their distance. It shouldn't be just walk in a circle. Another thing, they should definitely slow down your fighter's footwork when you're holding block. That would significantly change the game. You want to know why? It's basically, think about it like this. Most of the people that are in loose footwork, they're blocking as well. And they're circling really quick. But if they had to have their hands down, you could like literally crack them with punches. And people would not be incentivized to do that anymore. Because for them to move that fast, they would basically have to have their guard down. And when they're holding block, they'll be slow enough to a point where you could easily cut them off. Same thing in UFC 5. You're a little bit slower when you have your block up compared to when you have your guard down. Your guard down, you're going to move around a lot faster. But it feels good. My body crosses, the body jabs, just everything like lands. Ooh, nasty power overhand right here. Bang. Wish the replays were a little bit better. I was going to use them for like thumbnails, but with that flash effect as I'm trying to get the still shot, yeah, I can't really use them as a thumbnail. That flash effect kind of messes up the quality, but I'm still glad they're adding stuff like that in the game. In updates, games like UFC 5, they never add in mechanics to the game with updates, so, I've been very negative past patch reviews, but this one is treading in the right direction. So let's hope they keep going in the right direction. I want to see more gameplay updates too, even in hot fixes and just like 2 weeks from now. If you want to address stamina, just do it. Stop waiting 6-7 months. Like time is not something this game has. You have Fight Night that's been greenlit by EA Sports. You have major competition on the way. You have to expedite the repair process on this game or it's going to die and be forgotten forever. Maybe not by me. I mean, like a perfect Undisputed game will probably be better to me than any EA boxing game. Here's one thing, it's because of footwork and block breaking and how that stuff works. I mean, I've never really played the Fight Nights, but it looks very stiff and the movement is horrendous. You know, they're very bad with movement for some weird reason, but they can improve. I mean, that was like almost a decade ago. Damn, dropped them again. But yeah, look at this. I could trust my combos, my counters. It feels great. Now, is it perfect? No, of course not. There could still be more improvements. There's still times here and there where I'll miss something, but it's not nearly as much. And we get the KO victory. Let's go. 2 KOs, you know, perfect performances. We didn't really get hurt too bad. But hope you guys enjoyed the review. More Undisputed content on the way.